Welcome, everybody. It's me, Brandy P, with the Yes, I'm the Veteran podcast. And I am thrilled to have my co-host on with me once again, Miss Amelia Peacock from the Sentinel Collective and the 60 award-winning filmmaker, the always amazing Miss Pacific Sour. How are you ladies doing?
Fantastic.
Hand to God, I'm not trying to play that old intro, but it keeps playing and I feel like low-key I'm not mad, but I should stop. But like,
you're gonna have to rename the files. I'll help you with that.
I'm gonna have to. I already had like someone redo it, and anyways, I just like that intro. I don't know. It is not intentional. I promise. But so a lot's been going on since the last time we had a podcast. I'm so proud of both of you ladies. Amelia, you just graduated as well. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. It was an amazing opportunity. I graduated from Dog Tag Bakery and Georgetown University through their Dog Tag Fellowship program, which is an entrepreneurial program that's developed through both Dog Tag and a lot of their partners. Gives some really amazing insight, opportunity, and I am so very grateful that I had the opportunity to be a part of it because it's really helped me identify and align a lot. It's a really great opportunity. So if anyone is interested, please feel free to reach out. I would love to chat with you about it. I know that they just completed and they're about to speak or share who they are choosing for the next cohort coming up. And so I'm very excited. But any future cohorts, keep your eyes out because it's an amazing opportunity and a lot of learning, a lot of pushing yourself, and totally worth it. And thank you so much for letting me share that because I'm really excited about it.
I'm so proud of you. And that's not an easy class. And was that more like about management or like leadership or entrepreneurship?
It's all of it. It's through Dog Tag side. You have a lot of self-care. You have wellness. You have mental health, like aspects. So not specifically mental health. We did a lot of yoga, a lot of mindfulness, a lot of other aspects. We had capstone. We had finding your voice stories where you're learning a lot about yourself and being able to really evaluate and assess. And then on the other side from Georgetown, we were going through a master's degree level program, which provides you with a certificate of business administration upon completion. Okay. And really guides you through the different aspects of business that you may or may not have been aware of, and gives you some opportunities to really dig in, do some research, and really get some good footing for where you want to be and what you're looking to do. And so it was really an amazing opportunity, very eye-opening. And gosh, that's where I've been these last 5 months, if you haven't seen me.
Yeah, she's definitely every day in class. She's like, I'm in class. Like, we're not doing I'm in class. So, I definitely try to support people, on their collegiate journey or just learning a new skill or a trade. And so I'm so thankful that we got to see her from start to finish doing her course. I'm super excited, and I'm also super excited for Pacifica. Do you want to talk a little bit about like all like the baddie stuff that you're doing? Because I just saw this recently.
Oh yeah, we won the gold Telly Award, which is awesome. I've got tons of Telly Awards, but not a gold one. Like the gold one is the hardest one to get.
I have lots of them.
I have silver ones.
She finally has a gold one. Dexter's saying congrats.
Well, but no, there are over 15,000 entries to the Telly Awards. So,
wow,
only 3% of them, yes, worldwide. So only 3% of them achieve gold. And in the documentary category, which is really difficult and oversaturated, and the competition is just outstanding. Only 34 gold trophies were awarded for documentary. So we were one of those.
34 out of 15,000.
So proud of you, sis. You have such an amazing mind.
So, we're happy that it's getting eyeballs. So
yes, I'm happy it's getting eyeballs.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, Pacifica. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Look at you guys doing all kinds of amazing stuff. Let me get my stuff together, dang.
No, ma'am. Let's not even go there. You are doing amazing things. Always yourself. So let's give credit where credit is due, my dear.
Yes, and that's what we're doing today. And so I'm so thankful that we're having the guest on that we are having today. So I've known Deb Parsons for a few years now. I really started to know her when we were both inducted into the Women in World Oral History exhibit. And she's done so much in the nonprofit world. She's done so much as a veteran advocate. She inspires and empowers so many people. So I'm so honored to bring her onto the stage now. The always amazing Miss Deb Parsons. Hey, Deb.
Hi. Wow. Thank you for that introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to call you Colonel Deb because of the other Deb I work with, May's personal assistant. She's a honorary colonel. So if I accidentally call you Colonel Deb, it's not intentional.
I mean, can I have that colonel retirement check too? I'm just saying.
That's what I said. I'm like, if you become an honorary colonel, do they pay you as a colonel? No one's giving me an answer on this yet.
Good question.
All right, Deb. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what branch were you in?
I was in the best branch, of course, the United States Air Force. But of course, respect to all the branches. Everybody should say their branch is the best every time. I joined back in the 1900s. So, probably before some folks watching this podcast were born. I did not have a lot of exposure to the military when I joined. I actually saw an ad in a home ec magazine when I was in 7th grade of women in camo. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I think I want to do that. And then come high school, my grades weren't going to be enough to get me a scholarship. I wasn't interested in going to school. So I said, all right, I'm going to join the Navy. Then I realized, wait, I don't swim. I don't do water. Okay, the Army guaranteed me the job I wanted. And my dad sat me down and said, no, you're not going in the Army. And I tried to explain how excited I was. And he told me about rucksack marches. I said, that sounds cool. And he said, okay, let me explain to you what that is. And by the way, not only are you carrying the ruck, you're carrying all your photographic equipment with. Okay, you know what? Let me look at the Air Force. And so, and it worked out. It worked out pretty well. My dad didn't do so well in the Army, so he probably wasn't the best role model. He made E5 a couple of times, didn't get a very good discharge. So the Army really wasn't for him. But I had a grandfather that was a Marine, and he was very supportive. Most of the family was a little bit shocked. You're supposed to go to school, get married, have babies. That's not the life I wanted. And so I served over 25 and a half years all over the world, many deployments, met my husband while we were both serving overseas, served in the services career field. So food service, fitness, lodging, mortuary, and recreation, which is a very odd combination of jobs. But I definitely worked all of them. Matter of fact, Brandy and
all of them?
All of them. Brandy and I have someone in common with Shalina Fry. That was Brandy's first sergeant, and that was my command chief when I was a first sergeant. So she's still doing fantastic things. Retired in 2019. My husband wanted to stay in Florida. Hurricane Michael happened. I said, no, I'm not about this hurricane life. Always wanted to come back to San Antonio. And so we landed here and have not looked back.
No, I love that. And honestly, I love that there's that connection there. And they say it's a small military, and it's very true. And Shalina Fry, she was my first sergeant when I was air evac from England to the United States. And it was funny because we were doing a documentary. We included her in it about trailblazers in Black military history. And she quite literally is history herself. And I had asked her when I had seen her, that was the first time she'd seen me walking since everything had happened, when I had the triple limb salvage. And I was right next to Daniel, and I asked him, or I asked her in front of him, if you were to explain what I was back then when you saw me in that hospital, what would you tell Daniel? Because he doesn't know. And she immediately answered The Walking Dead with zero hesitation. I was like, really? But no, Shalina Fry is an absolutely amazing command chief, and such a wealth of knowledge as well as Deb is. And so it's just amazing that I'm able to meet such amazing ladies in this area. I really love living in San Antonio. Lucy has a question.
Lucy's curious.
Yeah.
Well, she wants to know why being a veteran advocate is so important to you, Deb.
I feel nobody can look out for a veteran like another veteran, plain and simple. Nobody else has walked the walk. Nobody else is going to have those shared experiences. And, there's a million resources out there for veterans, right? But it can be overwhelming. And so being a veteran advocate, you can kind of, it's very similar to my time as a first sergeant. You can say, these are the resources that have helped people that I know. Maybe this can help you. We're not giving a hand out, we're giving you a hand up. And I've seen it work so many times. It's incredibly important.
It really is. And I've seen you in action, Deb. Wow. Just wow. And I'm so very grateful to be able to walk alongside this journey with you in the city as well. It's been so special. And I'm curious with that, tell us a little bit more about what you do with Women Veterans of San Antonio.
Sure. So I'm the president of the Women Veterans of San Antonio. I kind of have been on and off for the last several years. Mm-hmm. Our founder actually founded the group back in 2013. So Robin was getting ready to retire from the Army and was realizing, she was going to miss the connection that you get with veterans. And so she started the group as a social group, and then started to realize there's a need for not just women veterans, but women in general to have access to basic hygiene supplies. Mm-hmm. And that's something a lot of folks might not think about. But if you don't have money and it's, food or items for your time of the month, and Lord knows those are expensive in themselves, each one of those. So that's when she kind of turned the group into a nonprofit. And so some of the things we do is we do collect all kinds of hygiene supplies, and we get them out to women on the streets, give them out at stand downs. We share them with other organizations if there's a need. So if Haven for Hope has a need for some items, we'll share with them, or San Antonio Threads, which helps foster kids that are aging out of the system, as well as just kids in general that have that need. And so we collect these items and we give them out. And we also just find ways for women veterans to connect, to network, volunteer, socialize, give back to the veteran community. We may not be a mental health organization ourselves, but just being involved with any of these is such for your mental health. And I'm a testament to that. When I retired in San Antonio, I had been stationed here and I knew tons of people here, but I was very detached from the veteran community for the first several months. I just didn't have a real focus, a real direction. And I attended the Texas Women Veterans Day event outside in June at Comanche Park and realized, okay, I feel like this is my tribe. This is where I belong. And so began getting more involved. And then when Robin said she was moving back home to Mississippi, I said, well, I'll do whatever it takes to keep the group going, thinking, treasurer, vice president. The next thing I knew, I was president. But it has been an amazing journey, and just being surrounded by such fantastic people. And y'all see us everywhere in the community. On Sunday, we were putting flags in front of the gravestones at Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery. We have our quarterly birthday lunch this Saturday. So we do a little bit of everything, and we try to find activities that will appeal, whether it be different parts of town or different types of activities, to all of our members. So we have right now about 190 active members, plus thousands that follow us on social media and LinkedIn.
Yes. I love that.
Outstanding. Yeah.
It's so important getting women together, and especially women veterans in general, because we tend to scatter to the winds after our service. Mm-hmm. And so, that sense of camaraderie, it's important to us as well as our brothers.
Mm-hmm. I think it's more important.
I have to agree. I was trying to be political, but yes, I agree. So what kind of programs do you offer specifically through WVSA?
Sure. So again, not mental health, but we can refer you to different mental health organizations, and there's a plethora of them in San Antonio. Getting women together to do a wine bus every year.
I love that.
We also collect gift cards. Our budget's pretty small. We are a grassroots organization, but right now food insecurity is a huge issue. And so we have really generous donors that give us gift cards to HEB and to Walmart. And so if we run across a women veteran, and especially a women veteran and her family, then we will find a way to get the gift card to them to help them, have the basic needs in their house, have food in their pantry. And so that's one of the main things we do, along with providing the hygiene supplies. But in general, just getting the word out there. It's 2026. We're in San Antonio. We're in Military City, USA. we have to remind people that we served too. And that's actually on the back of all of our t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Brandy, I tell the story all the time that you told me about Home Depot, just as an example of how, you know, people just see a woman and they assume, oh, your husband served. Well, yeah, actually my husband did serve, but we served too. You know, don't always assume when you see a male and a female and they're wearing their military gear and their shirts and their hats and their swag, that it's all because of the male. And so we all run across this. I ran across this, you know, on permissive not permissive TDY, but I was retiring from the military, but I was still on active duty, drove in through one of the JVSA gates. I'm Air Force, Security Forces Air Force member at the gate. We both handed over our IDs. My husband by this point had a nice salt and pepper beard going, so you can tell he's not currently serving. Mm-hmm. Took our IDs, handed them to me, leaned into him and said, "Thanks for your service, Chief." And we just drove away both going, wait, did that really happen? You know, my husband wasn't a chief, but he did serve. He did do his 20 years. Yeah. That was the assumption from somebody from my own branch of service. And women run into this all the time, be it at the VA, just be it at, you know, Home Depot or Lowe's using the veteran parking. Mm-hmm. We want to, you know, get our message out there that it's not just the guys that served.
Yeah, that's literally why the podcast was named what it was. You're very right. I had parked and someone, I was in a DV, had my DV plates on in the handicapped space. I had all my stuff, and a woman literally tried pulling me out of my car, and she said, "You know, you didn't serve, and you don't look disabled to me. You need to move." And I was like, first of all, I am the veteran. I was like, "This is why you're not sleeping tonight." And she like pulled my pant leg up, and she was like, "Oh, you're like eyes like this." I was like, "Yes, I am the veteran," and you know, don't assume. You know, it was very awkward after that, but I didn't care because I was upset because it was in front of my daughter, and you know, it was something I didn't expect to have to prove. And unfortunately, you know, being disabled and a veteran, I feel sometimes that people feel that you have to prove it, and it's sad that, you know, our brothers don't always go through the same issues. Which I'm sure that there are issues in general, but I feel like as a woman, especially if you're younger age, you tend to get targeted more, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Well, and here's the problem, you know, with those assumptions. And I totally forgot where I was going to go with that train of thought, but it's just really important to realize that, okay, here's where I was going to go. A lot of women that are veterans do not see themselves as veterans, and it's because of attitudes like that. Or they've been told, sometimes by their own husbands who they served with, well, you're not a veteran, you didn't serve overseas. But you don't go up to a male veteran and go, oh, you didn't serve overseas, so you're not a veteran. You don't hear of that happening, but it happens to women veterans all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's just unacceptable, and especially in this city in this day and age.
Yes, I agree. I don't know how many women veterans that I've had to like almost fight to even get them to file for their VA benefits. Or to file for disability for an increase. And I'm like, you have everything here. Like, I've reviewed your record. You know, this was my literal job in the Air Force. I can read and interpret any service member's record. You know, I'm telling you, take this here. You have a valid case, you know, and people will fight you like a wet cat. And, you know, like, you end up going, bet me. The worst thing they'll tell you is no. But if they tell you yes, it could change your life.
Absolutely. And especially for those women veterans that may be homeless.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, even 90 to 100, that's $1,000 extra or more a month, depending on your dependents. That's rent for somebody easily. And, you know, it's very frustrating that there's so many women veterans that they really don't try to actively pursue their disability because they feel they don't deserve it, or there's some sort of shame because of something that happened during service, or, you know, they listen to the bro vets, you know, like, you know, I'm not this or that. Like, at the end of the day, file. The worst thing they'll tell you is no. But if they told you yes, it could change your life.
Absolutely. You know? And not to mention, you earned those benefits.
Correct. Mm-hmm. You know, and I tell people, you know, at the end of the day, like, you have to look at this like a vehicle. Like, if you shipped a vehicle overseas where they mark and ding everything up, your entrance physical, which is your standard form 8893 when you come in the military, is your entrance physical, like where they mark the goods. Everything from that period to when you leave and you do your separation physical, which is, you know, like a follow-up of that original physical years later, anything between that period and that period is claimable, like an insurance policy. So you have to look at it in that manner. And a lot of us feel like I don't deserve it, or I, don't feel that would be taken seriously. But just bet on yourself and see what happens.
Absolutely. And that's why sometimes you can't ask a woman, are you a veteran? The right question is, did you serve in the military? And you may get a different answer that way. And it shouldn't have to be that way. But that's the reality.
Absolutely.
Even some of the older veterans I've spoken to that did big things. I met a lady who was 100 years old, served in World War II, helped get those guys ammunition for the Battle of the Bulge, and she was in Paris when the war ended. She didn't see her service as heroic, or I guess she saw it as necessary, and she knew it was something she needed to do, but it wasn't. She just said that she came back and started living her life, and that was it.
Yep.
But it's women. It's like women like her. That's the reason we all were able to serve. We stand on the shoulders of giants. She was a giant.
Yeah, absolutely. So
and that's what I was learning at
dog tag.
Sorry, guys. I just wanted to know this, man. I'm sorry. Great topic. But no, I have to say this because I was just at the National Library of Congress in DC when I was up for graduation, and we got a chance to go up there, right? And we got an amazing tour. It was awesome. We were able to really see a lot of amazing things and learn about the Veterans History Project and all of those different areas. And one of the things, especially because of Brandy and Miss May and the amazing advocacy that has come from that, like you just said, Deb, that we stand on the shoulders of them, right? Because of their actions, because of what they've done. So my question to them was, do these ladies like the Rosies or the 688, like, are they getting identified as a veteran to where their history can be saved in this Veteran History Project? And it's, we all know that it's a very sad thing, but if we're not speaking about it, it's not going to come to awareness.
Yep.
And so one of the things is that they have to follow the guidelines that the government sets forth for what a veteran is. And so from government perspective, some of these ladies are not considered a veteran yet because that didn't get passed until 1948, I believe. So I think it's really interesting and so very imperative that we do talk about this and that we get the word out there, because these ladies and these men that went before us that did not get the reception that the others of us have, even with all the issues that are still there, they are the ones that paved our way. And so I'm very grateful that we're talking about this. Thank you all for letting me share that.
Thankfully, they have a veteran podcast project. And guess which podcast I'm submitting? The ones of the 688, the ones of the Rosies, and a bunch of other amazing figures that we've had. So guess what? It's getting in there one way or another.
That's right.
We're mocking that one. Yeah. And so, Pacifica, what was your question? I apologize.
No, I was just going to go off that same vein and ask Deb, with all the things women face with their veteran status, why is it important for women, women veterans especially, to hang out and get together?
It goes back to nobody understands our service like women veterans. And, what's amazing about our events and any of the get-togethers around the city, and we're not the only women veteran organization that puts on events, you get women veterans from all eras, all walks of life. Some may have retired, some may have done just a little bit of time, but we have that commonality. And I love it that, somebody new may show up and they're a little bit nervous. They don't know anybody, maybe they haven't put themselves out there to really get to know other women veterans. And within minutes, they're laughing and they're sharing experiences, and it's important. There's just some things we as women veterans just can't get away with saying around our civilian counterparts. Yeah. Plain and simple.
It's so true.
We are a little bit more direct.
A lot of it for my case.
Yeah, we're a lot more direct. I forget who I was talking to, but, women veterans can talk about P charts in Afghanistan civilians are going to look at you like, what? Well, yeah, the color of your pee. That's how you know if you're drinking enough water.
Yep.
You say that around the wrong crowd and it's just going to go right over their head. But you get around women veterans and, oh, yeah, I remember that. There's just some things and some commonalities that we have that, nothing against our brothers in service. We have organizations out there that are, both men and women, and some that are just men. But it's just a little bit different when you're around your own sisters. And again, it doesn't matter when you served, how long you served. You raised your right hand and you served.
Exactly.
That's right. I love that. And it's so very true. And with that, Deb, especially with the experiences you have and getting all of our community together in that collaborative spirit, what do you feel is one of the greatest issues women veterans do face?
Sadly, suicide and homelessness rates. And I know, Brenda, you've had different guests that have said very profound things about these two topics on this podcast, but that's not going away. More and more women have and are serving in the military. Therefore, the veteran population of women is increasing, whether that's, the VA needing to keep up, especially in certain communities with care, or the realization that homelessness may look different for a women veteran. They're more likely to be with their children. Many may not see themselves as homeless, they're couch surfing or just bouncing around. If you do not have a permanent roof over your head, a safe place to live, that is a definition of homelessness. And that's a big problem right now. There's a lot of shelters out there that will support the males, but as a woman veteran with young kids, maybe facing, domestic violence, or it's hard to hold down a job because you've got kids, maybe even with special needs, and then you can't hold the job down. How do you pay your rent? How do you pay for the food? And those are very, very much primarily women veteran issues, more so than our male counterparts. As it is, women veterans are 2 to 3 times more likely to be homeless than their civilian counterparts.
Yeah.
And that's an issue. And the same thing applies to the suicide rate. And we try to get outward from different mental health organizations. Sometimes the VA cannot support the number of folks that need mental health assistance. And sometimes they don't feel that women have the same need as males. And I have a good friend who was getting great care here in San Antonio, moved to a different city, wanted to continue counseling for PTSD. Her husband went in, no problem, got the referrals, everything's good. She goes in to see the same doc, and he goes, "Oh, now come on, you can't have PTSD."
Bro.
That's a significant issue. We serve right alongside our brothers. And not to mention, you've got the PTSD from MST, not just from military service in itself. That's a problem. That's a big problem. So, getting the word out about organizations, Pink Berets being one of them, Grace After Fire does some, stuff with mental health, getting that word out there that women veterans have a safe space they can go to. Some of the hospitals out there that have the women veteran clinics specifically with separate entrances, all women working. I think that's a great initiative. It may not be for everybody, but if you need that, it's good to have that available.
Absolutely. And that's the thing with women veteran homelessness in general, is that the VA does not consider couch surfing to be homeless, which for most of us would be considered unstable, but it's things like that that need to change. And that way they're able to fund it. I know there's a lot of women veterans I've spoken to that because when the hood housing, they do like their counts for the night, it's always in the late evening. And a lot of women and their children, they don't feel comfortable sleeping there overnight. And so they won't even be there. And they determine funding off of these type of numbers. And a lot of these women, they don't feel comfortable because of the fact that they don't feel like the doors lock well enough. Maybe they don't lock at all. They're MST survivors. And, they're not comfortable being around a predominantly male, housed space. And, especially with your kids, you're going to be 3 times more specific with your kids, no question, if not more so. And so if you don't feel comfortable, why the hell would you put your kids there? And this is something that I'm hoping is really considered more in the future.
It's something a lot of people don't know. There are programs to help find semi-permanent or permanent housing, and that's great. But for example, some of the local organizations that can get you into a house or an apartment, it's a 10 to 15 day wait. And they do not have programs to fill that gap. So then it falls on smaller nonprofits with a heck of a lot less money to try to find ways to keep these veterans off the streets. And there's some initiatives out there. There's some cities that have the veteran hotels and whatnot, but it's not enough. There's a group of us trying to help a woman veteran. I got a call last Friday. It's accepted in one of these living situations where in 10 to 15 days, she will have stable housing for her and her family. But there's no plan for that gap. And so that's when, again, they may end up on the streets, not safe, or in a shelter where they don't feel comfortable. And, these big organizations that can get you into housing don't have, say, hotels or temporary setups. They come to all of us with a lot less funding.
And that's so stressful, not even for just the veteran themselves, but for the organization, because you don't want to feel that you're not able to assist a veteran. Like, I don't think any organization does. And I really wish that there were more emergency funding type organizations for situations like that, because things can happen, whether it be domestic violence, loss of a job, especially in this economy now more than ever. People need that type of immediate emergency type of response. And so tell us a bit about the work that you do with the Fort Sam Memorial Services Detachment.
So I am on an all-veteran honor guard with the Fort Sam Houston Memorial Services Detachment.
I didn't mess it up, yes.
And Pillsbury's going to come in and say hi. What we do is we provide honors to veterans at the cemetery if the military can't or won't, for whatever reason, provide honors. And by that I mean like the 3 volleys, the holding of the flags, on occasion even folding and presenting the flag to the next of kin, and the playing of taps. And so I got involved with that organization several years ago, mostly because I was trying to find a way for my husband to connect to veterans. And we both had honor guard backgrounds. I thought this would be great.
Aww.
The group is, we're constantly looking for volunteers. Average age, it varies, but it's in the 70s. So you've got gentlemen out there and some women, there's only a few of us that are out there, and they're in their 70s and 80s. And they go out there, they fire the 3 volleys. They do all of the stuff. We have a bugler on my squad, which is Friday Squad. He's 84 years old, incredibly talented. And so my role on the team is whatever they need me to do. So I may be 1 week firing, 1 week marching in with the flag. And about a year ago, I started working on playing taps on the bugle because, quite frankly, live bugle is superior to the pre-recorded tinny bugle any day. So that's been something I've worked on, and I've played multiple funerals out there and different ceremonies around town. I'm also the photographer and publicist and webmaster because I don't believe in free time, I guess.
Dang, Deb, you guys still being overachiever. I see how it is.
Always. And then my husband serves as the adjutant. He took that on and trying to digitize and bring us into the 21st century. So it's as busy. And, we just did a Memorial Day ceremony at the cemetery this week. And then on Friday, we'll be back out there. We have 9 funerals scheduled. The most we've done has been 18 in one day. And it was over 100 degrees almost the entire day. And I believe that was after COVID. So we had a lot of catch-up funerals after COVID because for a while funerals were pretty much shut down as far as providing honors. So 18 in a day, and you've got these older gentlemen from mostly from the Vietnam War doing it.
That's like a 12-hour shift at least. Just of taps. Did you have dreams of taps when you went to sleep?
Sometimes, yes.
What happened?
Yeah, it's we all take the mission very seriously. We've all served. Again, it could be an enlistment, it could be decades. When I first joined, we did have Korean War vets, and I believe we still had a World War II vet. We've had gentlemen in their 90s, and maybe they can't lift the rifle, but they can help handle some of the updating of our numbers. Or we had a member that has been in hospice for a couple of years, and he physically couldn't do much, but he could play the fake bugle if we needed it. And he was out there for moral support, and he was also an Air Force veteran. And, just knowing that these folks, what they went through in Vietnam, which in some ways they were the greatest generation, right? Because they looked out for those of us that were GWAT. Just seeing them out there, you can't complain about, oh my gosh, it's hot, I'm tired, because they're out there every single week. performing honors, and it's really just an honor to serve with them.
I love that.
That's so
And
special.
no one's buried alone. No one has to be buried alone.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We also do unaccompanied burials. So that's where they may have remains of several people that don't have families, and we'll do a big mass ceremony. There's also the Missing an American project that we do about once a year, where they'll find cremains from just all over Texas that didn't have family, didn't have anybody to claim them. And they will be escorted down here by the Patriot Guards, another amazing organization. And the ROTC students come in and they work with us, and we make sure they as well receive the honors that they've earned. And there have been women veterans in both of those groups as well.
I love that.
I love that.
Good to
That's
go.
amazing.
Well, does the WVSA have any upcoming events going on this summer?
Yes, we have our big Texas Women Veterans Day event coming up on June 6th from 11 to 2 at Wayland Baptist University on Pat Booker Road. This is an event we do almost every year. We didn't do it last year, but we're back bigger and better than ever. So we'll have 40 different resource tables and vendors available. We had enough donations that we're able to provide a lunch to everybody, swag bags to the first 200 women veterans. DJ Lady J will be out there. And this event just gets bigger and bigger. So started out at Comanche Park. We tried a couple of other locations. We moved to SAC. They have a great victory center at the San Antonio College.
That's huge.
We outgrew that space too. So we decided to find an even bigger space and with lots of parking. And Wayland Baptist, they were very generous, and they're letting us just take over their building. And
They're amazing. They're amazing.
Event. So we're
floor party.
And we will have a lot of women veteran organizations there, as well as just veteran organizations in general. And we have some different ones that maybe haven't been out to some of the other groups. So stuff like the UTSA Encore Band, and that's where I learned to play trumpet so that I could eventually learn to play bugle. And it's a student program, not a student, it's a veteran program. It doesn't cost any money. You can just sign up and join and pick an instrument, and you will learn how to play. And then we play in 2 concerts a year, plus any reunions or whatnot. We've also played different places. We played in the Towers, which is right outside of Fort Sam this year, and we did a concert for them. So they haven't really been out there with a table yet. So of course I said, you guys have to be here. There's so many veteran organizations that will be there, and we're super excited. And by the way, for those that, we get naysayers all the time. Well, why do women need a separate Veterans Day? That is not what this is about. So this is about back on June 12th, 1948, when women were allowed to serve in the regular military. So it's the anniversary of that date. Yep, for the first time ever. Before that, women that served in World War II, as soon as the war was over, yeah, cool, thanks, bye.
It was a special exception.
Yes. And so we're celebrating that. And so several years ago, Texas actually wrote it into law. And so it is June 12th of every year. So we do the event either before or after. This year, we're doing it before. And then a week later, the Women Veteran Calendar will have their gala, dining out style gala. And so there's multiple celebrations in between to honor us. But again, it's not that we say, oh, we just have a separate Veterans Day. That is not what this is about. And so I have to tactfully explain that to people every year, usually.
The significance of women's history. But yes, there's always one. It's always a dude. It's never a woman that says it. Right. But yes, every year at an event, I've always heard like one wiener that has something to say about it. So yes, that answered it very politically. I'm just not. But
Randy's spicy.
I've heard women come up against Women Veterans Day, though.
Yeah,
not many, but there have been a few.
And I think, just like the men that argue it, they just don't understand the significance.
Exactly.
It's, they feel, well, we just have one Veterans Day. Well, and we're not taking away from that Veterans Day at all. That is not the intent. It's to celebrate our service, which we weren't always allowed to serve and be recognized as veterans. And that's important.
It didn't used to be like a jailable offense if you said you were a guy and served. I think back in the Civil War, it was a jailable offense. I may be wrong.
But there were still people who did it and succeeded.
True. And some pretty legendary units, no less. But What was I going to ask? So are like women veterans allowed to bring kids to that event, Deb?
They can. It's not really designed for kids, so we won't necessarily have kids activities, but we don't want a woman veteran to miss out because she's got her kids. Bring the kids. If that means you can attend and be around your sisters in service, then of course.
I love that.
Yeah. I am curious. I know we've talked a lot about a lot of different things, but how can our listeners support?
First of all, share our organization and other women veteran organizations, which they are definitely growing across the country, with women veterans that you know. If you don't understand our service, ask us. We will be happy to tell you. But don't disparage our service just because we're a women veteran. We are always collecting donations, hygiene supplies, gift cards, you name it, so that we can keep on our support of women veterans. And times are tough right now, so donations are down for all nonprofits, and we get that. But the need is going up. So we still have a need for any kind of hygiene item that you can think of. Just, if you see a man and woman, and just don't assume the guy, oh, you serve, thank you. My husband's great about if someone thanks him or comments on his service, pointing to me to say, hey, she served longer. She outranked me. After running into this so many times, he's a big supporter. Sometimes he's my muscle for getting supplies around for these events and picking up donations. But just don't assume that, oh, well, you must be wearing your husband's Army hat. No, women serve in the Army too. Hello.
You're like, what century is this again?
Exactly. I wouldn't be caught dead wearing an Army hat anyway. Like, you couldn't pay me to wear
me either, Pacifica.
Like,
it is my husband. I still want to do one that says retired AF. Like, and like I'm still looking.
Retired as fuck. Yeah.
There you go. All right, Deb, that one I'm down with.
So I have Air Force hats, but my favorite is this.
Nice. Deb's beating me to the punch.
I love it.
All right, so it looks like it's time for a knowledge drop.
And so, look, we have kind of covered some of this. I am amazed at how sometimes it works out like that. But let's talk about some things today. Okay, here's a quick knowledge drop. And this one is centered on how we move forward together, not against each other, especially when it comes to navigating the systems that are meant to support us. So we've talked about some of those today. So here's something I want us to sit with. Okay. Systems do not change on their own. People do. Every system, including the VA, is made up of policies, processes, and people. Whether we realize it or not, we are part of that system too. So if we're looking for better outcomes, we have to move from standing outside of it to engaging it more effectively. Okay. To me, that means shifting how we approach things. Dexter agrees. From frustration to clarity, right? Because I get so frustrated, but I have to be very clear when communicating. From reaction to preparation. From one-off complaints to consistent engagement. Because real change doesn't come from just one moment. It comes from steady, informed action. And when we show up in that way, we improve the path that, and again, like we've talked about tonight, not just for ourselves, but for the veteran coming behind us, the military family coming behind us. So regarding accountability, I want to be really clear on this. Accountability exists on both sides of the table. Okay. As veterans, we have a responsibility to show up prepared, follow through, and stay informed. Okay. You've got amazing organizations like Women Veterans of San Antonio and so many more out there to help with that. So please engage in those. But also the system has responsibility to provide clear guidance. Dexter is fussing. He's hungry and he's not.
So
oh my gosh. Wow. So he agrees with me. That's what we're going to go with. So anyway, but right now I do want to share, that the VA, the systems that we work within have a responsibility to provide. Give me 1 second.
Come on, Dexter. Just a couple more
Dexter
minutes.
knew it was the knowledge drop, and he heard the music, and he was like, "It's my chance."
Be a good boy, Dexter.
Let me be clear regarding accountability. Okay. It exists on both sides of the table. As veterans, we have a responsibility to show up prepared, to follow through, and to stay informed. And the system, it has a responsibility to us to provide clear guidelines, apply policies consistently, and treat every veteran with dignity. This isn't about blame. It's about making sure the system actually works. Right now, I want to take some time to recognize a moment that we're sitting between two meaningful observances in our military community. Monday was Memorial Day, and as we discussed, upcoming is Women Veterans Day. And again, they're not competing moments. They serve different but equally important purposes. Memorial Day is a time of remembrance for those who gave their lives. Women's Veterans Day is a time of recognition for those who served and in many cases have to fight to be acknowledged. And as Deb shared with us, I'm glad you gave us our history because I was going to do it. So I love that we all know it because it's so important, right? But as we move into June, Women Veterans Day is observed on June 12th. And again, it marks the signing of the 1948 Women's Armed Services Integration Act. And that was a point where women were legally recognized as permanent members of the armed forces. But that wasn't the beginning. Okay. Women had already served, like we spoke about, through every war and every conflict long before it was written into law. However, what that moment did was acknowledge what has always been true. Okay. And that's a step forward. And so with the recognition, even with the recognition that we have today, it hasn't disappeared. It was built through this advocacy, through voices, through organizations, and women veterans who ensured that their service was seen. And that matters because it reminds us that progress is carried forward by people willing to show up and stay consistent. The same way they use their voices, we're responsible for continuing their work. So before we close, I would like to take a moment to remember our brothers and sisters in arms throughout all conflicts who did not make it home. Those who made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms we have today. If we could take a moment of silence. Everything we work toward exists because of them, and it's up to us to carry that forward together. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep igniting voices for change because voices create awareness, but collective voices create change. I'll see y'all next time.
Yes, it was collective. Yes. Dexter had a lot to say. I wasn't able to translate all of it. However, I got the message.
Loud and clear.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and wrap things up tonight. And we're going to go ahead and go around and do final thoughts. Did you want to go ahead and start, Pacifica?
Well, I think it's like we said tonight, I do think in my past 12 or 13 years actually being involved with women veterans, this is probably the time in my life where I've actually done the most healing. And I think it's very important for us to get together and hang out and support each other in our civilian journeys and keep speaking about our issues and what's important to us, because that is the only way change sticks, and it's the only way we can make more change in the future. So rock on.
Yeah, Pacifica, well said. And what about you, Miss Deb? What are your final thoughts for today?
You know, this has been amazing, and I love that we brought together 4 women veterans, all of us with different backgrounds, but with the same goals in mind. And I think that's great. And the sisterhood and the support, it's so important.
It is. It's honestly our pleasure to have you on tonight as a guest. You're absolutely welcome to come back on anytime you'd like as a guest host. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, I would be honored to. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You? What's Dexter have to say? What's his final thoughts? Peace, treats.
Now, of course, he's gonna decide to not say anything right now because you called on him. So
I mean, he's gonna be on the audio. Like I'm gonna ask a question.
He's gonna be. I know.
And my little Pillsbury behind me, she's doing zoomies and getting into stuffs.
I was going to say
No, I
all
see
of
you
our
with
pets chimed in tonight.
Yes.
Hot Dog is the only one that's behaving. It's because I cut her hair into a lion haircut. Now she wants to speak to the manager.
Nice.
She may not forgive me, but I mean, now she can frolic through the meadows and not have 8,000 birds stuck to her. So I feel like it's a win-win on that one.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And so my final thoughts for tonight would just be our podcast, our goals are to educate, to empower, and to inspire. And it's always our pleasure to have on different people that embody those things. And you empower so many people with all the things you do, Deb. You have a crazy schedule and you do so much for people, whether it be for our brothers and sisters that have passed away, if it's for our sisters or brothers in need at the moment, you know, and everything that you have in your own personal life. It's a lot what you do. And I'm very happy to see you back in the El Presidente role at WVSA, because like it just doesn't feel the same with you not being the president. I'm sorry. Like I love everybody, but yeah, it's not the same. But at the end of the day, you know, if you are looking out, you have issues, you're in the San Antonio area, you are a woman veteran, definitely check out WVSA. They have so many amazing events. I'm still mad I missed that dang lipstick class. It was so cool. But you guys have so many amazing events on your social calendar. Even if you're a woman veteran, you're like, hey, I just want to check it out. Like y'all are weird, like, you know, but I'll make a chance on one organization event. Go to WVSA, check out their events. You know, there's a bunch of amazing ladies from all different walks of life. And that's the best thing about being a woman veteran is that we're all totally different from each other. Like, it's not like two like exact veterans that are women. Like, no, like I've never come across like 2 or 3 people. We're all totally different, you know, and it's just amazing that after all we've experienced that we're still able to break bread and share experiences. And it's so nice to not have to use your civilian filter at times. At least my opinion, I don't like having to like overly explain or apologize. So it's always nice to have someone that understands me and to be able to do a fun event. And that's what they do quite a bit of. And they do a lot of advocacy as well. So definitely check out WVSA. And if you have any questions for us as a podcast, if you have ideas for a future podcast, reach out to us at Yes, I Am the Veteran Podcast. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. So if you have questions, just reach out to us, email us, message us, or even put in the comments a suggestion what you would like. I know some people have asked about alternative medical treatments. That could be something that we include in a future podcast, but we need to hear from you. But we will go ahead and close it up tonight. But it was our pleasure to have you on, Miss Deb. And Aurelia, take us away.
Hi, I'm Aurelia. Just a reminder, smash like, hit subscribe, and click the bell. Please give me my mommy some hearts. Yay, veterans!
We are Yes, I Am the Veteran. Good night, guys.